Parak is called Kol Kisvei HaKodesh. 115a. It says Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, referring to Tanakh, Ternavim, and Ksuvim. Matzilin Eisen Mipnei Hadleika B'Shabbos. We are allowed to save them. Yeah, Hadleika, we're allowed to save them on Shabbos. I added that word in. If there's a fire. Now, what's happening here is that if there's a fire, Chas v'Shalom, Hashem should protect us. So there's a concern that if we allow you to save certain items, you might end up getting so involved in the saving and all of that that you'll end up putting out the fire, which that's a deraisa. Now, according to Reb Shimon, it's not a deraisa because putting out a fire, if you don't need the coals. But according to
you put out the fire by taking your books out of the house?
So when you're trying to save, here's the thing. If they tell you you have to walk away from it, and you walk away, you know that whatever's there is you'll have to replace. But if they tell you no, you're allowed to start saving, and you're going to run back in and get a little more and do a little more then you might end up being involved, and you'll see something that you're not able to save. You'll put out the fire. If they tell you like just walk away,
it's not accidentally.
Not accidentally, no, because of your anxiety. Yeah. Now, where are you taking it to? So they're allowing you to carry without an eruv. If it's, it doesn't mean into a Rosh Hashanah, it means into a courtyard that doesn't have an eruv. That's what you're allowed to save here. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, any holy books, you're allowed to save, referring to Ternavim and Ksuvim. Other things, you just have to leave them. You have to leave them. We'll see later how much food you're allowed to take with you. You're allowed to take out for meals, Shabbos meals, you're allowed to save. This will be the next Mishnah. Now, it says, Ben Shekarim Bem, Ben Shein Karim Bem. Whether these are books that we're reading from, or whether these are books that we're not reading from. Now, Rashi says, what are we talking about? Karim Behem is talking about Nevi'im, the prophets, because we read the Haftarah. Ein Karim Behem is talking about the Ksuvim, the writings, which is like Tila Mishlayev, Daniel, Ezra Nehemiah. Daniel, right on time. He's talking about those books which we don't read in public. That is one interpretation of what's going on here. There is another interpretation. He quotes Rabbeinu Halevi, which is probably Rabbi Yehuda Halevi. That's what we said before once. I forget where, Mem something. He said that Ksuvim, it's not just that we don't read the Ksuvim in public. It's much worse than that. We're not allowed to read Ksuvim on Shabbos. We're not allowed to read the writings because the writings are too interesting. And there was a drasha that the rabbi would give in shul, and in that drasha he would give like musar or halachas and things that he wanted everyone to hear. And if you would, it would be like going to shul with a novel. You would be distracted from the drasha. You won't end up hearing what the rabbi wanted everyone to hear. And they said that you can't read the Ksuvim.
Is that halacha?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yes, if you want, you can read Eily on Shabbos. It's no problem. You'll need a good commentary, though. Yeah.
Why doesn't they use a plain pshat? You know, I mean, you've got a big library in the house, typically, and most of them are reference for them. You don't read from them. You read from, you know, your Daf Yomi, a few Gemaras, and maybe your Mishnah Berurah or whatever. So how comes, I mean, that's simple pshat. Maybe you don't have to save those books. I mean, simple question. Nobody says that?
No one says that. However, Taisus mentions over here that we'll see in the Gemara where do our books fall into? Which category do our books fall into? And Taisus is gonna tell us that they fall into the category of books that are read, books that are yes read, and those books will be allowed to be saved. Okay, let's see a little further. Now it says even if they're written in any language, and there is an opinion that holds that you're not allowed to write them in other languages. Nevertheless, there's two ways of reading this. One pshat is, we'll see it's a machlekes how to read this Mishnah, Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. One pshat is that you save them, and not only that, but tunim gniza. But even if they start falling apart and they start rotting, you have to put them into shemus, you have to bury them. The other pshat over here is going to be that you actually don't save them. They're only tunim gniza because they're written in other languages. We'll see in the Gemara. You don't save them on Shabbos, but tunim gniza, yes, during the week. Why don't you read from them? Because there was a Beis Medrash on Shabbos that everyone was supposed to go, and this would cause people to neglect from going to that. Rashi brings two pshatim here when it says Afa Pishik Ksuvim B'Koloshan. One pshat is that he says that it's talking about the Ksuvim, if they're written in any language. It's not talking about the Nevi'im. And he says that it's talking about the Nevi'im as well. So what's the Mishnah talking about? That's the two interpretations here. Okay. Itmar. There was a statement. The Ksuvim Targum B'Chaloshen. Let's say it's either talking about the Ksuvim, Rashi says, or it's talking about all Kisvei HaKodesh. It's not written in Hebrew. It's written in Targum or any other language. Remember those Yiddish, every shul had a bunch of Yiddish Yehoyash Tanachs. They were black. Now they're all in Shemus, I think. But that was what people were reading. So if it's written either in Targum, Aramaic, right, or in any other language, what's going to be the halacha regarding that? Rav Huna says you can't save them on Shabbos in the fire, from the fire. Rav Chisda says no, you can't save them. What's the machlekes over here? So the Gemara goes on. According to the opinion that says you're allowed to read from these, yeah, what does it mean you're allowed to read from them? Does it mean that there's a prohibition of reading from them, or does it mean that you read from them in public? There's two pshatim. It seems from Taisus that there's two pshatim what this means. According to one opinion is that it was never meant to be written down. Targumim were not supposed to be written down. That's oral Torah. Translations are oral Torah, and it wasn't supposed to be written. And so therefore, according to that opinion that it's not allowed to be written, so therefore there's a machlekes, are you allowed to save them? That's one pshat. Okay.
Well, then it's very easy to save them if they're oral.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Kipligi, when is the machlekes? According to the opinion that says that they're not supposed to be written, they're not supposed to be read. According to the opinion that says they're not supposed to be read, so therefore, even though they're not supposed to be read, according to Rav Huna, therefore you don't save them. According to Rav Chisda, you save it anyway. Rav Huna says that you don't save it because you're not allowed to read it. Rav Chisda says no, you save it because it's a disgrace that they should get burnt. Okay, Tanan. Let's take a look at the Mishnah to see who's correct. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh Matzil Nesim Pnei Adleika. All the writings are saved from fire on Shabbos. Ben Shekarim ben Ben Shein Karben, whether they're read or they're not read. And the Mishnah goes on to say, Afal Pi Sheksuvim B'chol Lashon, even though they're written in any language. Well, sounds like you save it from the fire. Rav Chisda's right. My love, is it not? Shekarim behem. Now we go translate the Mishnah. I'm not sure why the Gemara has to go through these details. I thought it was obvious. Shekarim behem, what's that referring to? Is Nevi'im. She'en karim behem, what is that referring to? The what books that you don't read? That's the ksuvim. That's the writings. Afal pi sheksuvim b'chol lashon, even though they're written in any language, that means the leinet nelikrispem, that they can't read it. Uktani matzilan. The Mishnah says you save it on Shabbos. So it's very clear in the Mishnah. Tiyufta de Rav Huna, Dr. Stein would read. Tiyufta de Rav Huna. Is that a question on Rav Huna? So the Gemara says, Amalach Rav Huna. Rav Huna can respond to you. But Tizbara, do you really think so? Ema Seifa, you read it, another two words. To unim geniza. They need to be buried. If you're allowed to violate Shabbos, at least rabbinic violations, or in order to save them, you have to tell me that they need Geniza. That can't be the pshat. This Mishnah has a problem. Rav Huna is going to explain it in his version, and Rav Chisda will explain according to his logic. We go through this again. What does it mean, the books that you're allowed to, that we read from? That's talking about the prophets, because we say the Haftarah. Ben Shein Karim Behem, that's the Ksuvim. Either because we don't say the Haftarah or because we're not allowed to read it. Bittul Beis HaMedrash, like it said. When do you save them? That's only if it's written in Hebrew. But in any language, if it's written in other languages, you can't save them. But nevertheless, you still need to bury it. Rav Huna's pshat fits nicely into the words. That ksuvim b'chol lashon is not saved on Shabbos. You don't save the scrolls that are not written in Hebrew. Nevertheless, during the week, they require burial. Rav Chisda Matarz Tamei. How's Rav Chisda going to explain this? Ben Shekarim Bem is Nevi'im. Okay. You read the scrolls that you read from, you're allowed to save, that's the prophets. Ben Shein Karim Behem is Ksuvim. Ones that you don't read from, that's the writings. Afal Pi Sheksuvim B'chol Nami Matzilin. Even though they're written in any language, you also save them. Afal Pi Sheksuvim B'chol is going back on the Matzilin, on the first verb of the sentence. And then it says, and if it starts to rot and there's leftover pieces of the scroll, those pieces require geniza. The scroll itself you save on Shabbos. The pieces that are left over, the disintegration, that requires to be burial. Meisvei the Gemara is a question. Question is, we have a clear source that says that you're going to save them on Shabbos. It's going to be a kasha and Rav Huna. If they're written in Aramaic or they're written in any other language, you're allowed to save them. It's Yuvta de Rav Huna. It's clearly a brisa that goes against Rav Huna. This is an interesting opinion. This is an opinion that holds that you're allowed to read from Sifrei Torah that are written in other languages. Rashi says,
Sifrei Torah or just Ksuvim?
Oh. This is a raya to Rashi's other pshat. No. Rashi brings two pshat in what this whole machlekes is discussing. That's the difficulty with this. It's very unclear, this Gemara, what the real issue is. Is it talking about hayaksuvim targum? It's written in Aramaic. Rashi's first pshat on the Gemara is aksuvim kamar. It's talking about the writings that's written in Aramaic. And as you know, there was some issue with translating the writings into Aramaic. The Gemara over there, Megillah, talks about Yomi ben Uziel, that he only translated the prophets, he didn't translate the writings. However, Rashi says that he thinks that this is talking about all Kisvei Kodesh, not just the writings. Those are two different pshatim there. Now what we're dealing with is that Rabbi, there was a machlekes if Sefer Torah is written in other languages, if it's acceptable. And there was an opinion of Rabbi Gamliel that said that it's only acceptable in Greek. He said Greek is a good language, yaftalikim liyefes, and there's some special things about Greek, and that would be acceptable. There was another opinion there that said that no, it was acceptable in other languages as well. Now, according to those opinions, over here, there's a brisa that says that you're allowed to save the scrolls that are written in other languages. You could say it's going according to that opinion. That's what Rav Huna would do. He says we don't go like that. So you quoted to me a brisa that says that you're allowed to save these scrolls on Shabbos. That's because that brisa is following the opinion that's not accepted, that says that scrolls in other languages are acceptable. Tashima, another raya, another proof. Come and listen. Hey, Ksuvim, Gyptus. You read it as Gyptus, but it means Egyptian. Coptic. That's the same word. The word Coptic is probably Gyptic, right? If it's written in the old Egyptian language, Madis or Median, Ivris is written in the language from the other side of the Jordan, which means that it's Old Hebrew. Ilmis, I don't know what that is, some other language. Yavanis are Greek. Okay, so we have these scrolls, Torah scrolls that are written in these other languages. Even though you're not allowed to read from them, you save them from the fire. This is, you see here, you have a brisa that's clearly against Rav Huna. See, Rav Huna was getting out of all difficulties. Whenever you're going to prove him wrong, he's always going to say that goes according to the opinion that holds you're allowed to read from them. Here we have a brisa that says, even though you're not allowed to read from them, you still save them. So here, how do you get out of this? Tivta de Rav Huna, this is a strong question on Rav Huna. Amalach Rav Huna Tanaihi. Rav Huna says that this is actually a machlekes Tanaim. That's how Rav Huna would respond. That means, what he's doing is, he's saying that the machlekes that I have with Rav Chizda is actually a machlekes Tanaim. Even according to the opinion that holds that you're not allowed to read from them, there is an opinion that holds like Rav Chizda that says you're allowed to save them, but there's other opinions that I go like. Usually that's a kasha. When it says Lima Ketanai, why is Rav Huna and Rav Chizda arguing? We have a machlekes Tanaim. For some reason over here it's a teretz. Okay, the Tanya, we have a brisa that says the following: if they're written in any language, you're allowed to, even if they're written in other languages, you're allowed to save them from the fire. Now, this first opinion here could be Rav Chizda's opinion, but it also isn't necessarily Rav Chizda's opinion. Why? Because it doesn't tell me if you're allowed to read from them. If you're allowed to read from them, then everyone agrees that you're allowed to save them. Question is, does this opinion hold that you're not allowed to read from him, and nevertheless you're allowed to save them? That would be a raya that it's Rav Chisda's opinion. So far, we don't really know what this opinion says. Rabbi Yossi says no. They can't be saved from a fire on Shabbos because of those concerns that we had. I forgot to mention, Taisus points out that all of this is a fire in the person's own house. But if there's a fire somewhere down the road, then of course there's no problem saving it because we don't have a concern that you're going to put it out. You're allowed to take it out. This whole thing was a concern if you might end up putting it out. That's if you're not discussing the Mavi story, the Erev or the Mavi or all of those, the Chatzar. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yossi says, Ma'aseh ba'aba chalafta. It's a story with my father, Chalafta. That's Rabbi Yossi, who is the student of Rabbi Akiva. His name is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. So he says, there's a story with my father Chalafta. Shalach etzu Rabbi Gamliel Baribi, Litveria. He went to visit Rabbi Gamliel the Great in Tveria. There's something funny about this story. And I don't know if that's supposed to be in there. He's sitting at the table of Yochanan HaNazaf. I don't have any explanation for Yochanan HaNazaf, but he doesn't. HaNazaf sounds like there's something against him. Like Nazifa is like he was like angry or I don't know. They're from the Tosefta on the side, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nizaf. I wonder what's going on over here. There's something more to this. Whatever the case is, he's going to Rabbi Chalafta, or Abba Chalafta, is going to Rabbi Gamliel. This is Rabbi Gamliel of Yavna, as we'll see in a moment. And he's sitting at the table of Yochanan HaNazaf. B'yadei Sefer Eiv Targum. And in his hands, he has a translation, an Aramaic translation of Eiv. And he's reading it. Rabbi Gamliel is reading the book of Eiv in translation. It was hard. That's a hard Hebrew. That's Eiv is like the hardest. Okay, so Amalai Zacharni Rabbi Gamliel Avi Avicha Shoimer Al Gabi Maila Ba'arabayas Ve'Viu Lefan of Sefer Eiv Targum. Yochanan HaNazaf, I guess, tells to Rabbi Gamliel. He says, "I remember your grandfather, Rabbi Gamliel." That's Rabbi Gamliel Hazakim, that he was on by the steps of the Harabayas. Maybe it's a platform or something. Steps. They brought to him the Sefer Eiv Targum. He got annoyed with it. He told the builders, throw it under the fence, throw it under the bricks. You know, they're, I guess, building bricks, or there was cracks in the bricks. Just put it under there. Get rid of this. Well, Yochanan HaNazaf tells us to Rabbi Gamliel that your grandfather got rid of a book of Eiv that was written in Aramaic. So he right away says, okay, go bury it. Get rid of this as well. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda says, Ariva Shaltit Kafolav. No, there was a bucket of cement, of tar, and they poured it on it. So that's how they destroyed this. Amar Rabbi says regarding this claim of Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, he says, state Shuvas B'davar. That's impossible. There's two reasons why this is not accurate. First of all, what's there a bucket of tit on the Harabayas? That he just took a bucket of tit and poured it over it. Do you destroy it? You don't actually destroy it. You just put it in an open place and you let it rot on its own. You don't destroy it like that. It doesn't need burial, but you don't have to destroy it. Now, Tosfos here mentions that there are those that say, you see, Rabbi Yosef was blind. We didn't mention Rabbi Yosef here, but there are those that say, many times the Gemara quotes things in Rabbi Yosef would always tell us what the Targum is. And it's explained because Rabbi Yosef wasn't allowed to study the Torah in Hebrew because things that are written down you don't say by heart. So he learned it in Aramaic, and that's how he was able to learn it by heart. So he would study it by heart. There are those that say that the author of the Targum on Ksuvim is Rabbi Yosef. And that would date the Targum of the Ksuvim to a much later date, to the days of the Amoraim. Here we have Tanoim that are discussing the Targum of Ksuvim. It says, you see, Tosfos says, you see that the Targum of the Ksuvim was around in the days of the Tanoim. There's a big discussion. The historians discuss the dating of the Targum. There's a problem with the Yomi ben Eily quotes. There's countries there that seem to have been only existed later. So it goes way back. This is early Maskilim were busy with this. Mendelssohn himself, I think, was busy with this, the dating of Yomi ben Eily. Okay. Now the Gemara said, okay, why did we quote this? We quoted this because we wanted to say that the Machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda regarding the writing, the saving the writings that are written in other languages, that's a Machlekes Tanaim. So we quoted this brisa that seems to say, at least at the beginning, that even though it's written in other languages, you save it. And Rabbi Yossi said that you don't save it. That's why we quoted this brisa. And then we had a nice story in there as well. The Gemara says, Man Tanoi. Well, I get the opinion of Rav Huna. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion that says you can't save it. But who's the opinion of Rav Chisda? Eily matana kama de Rabbi Yossi. If you say it's the Tanakama that argues with Rabbi Yossi that says that you're allowed to save these writings that are written in other languages, that's the opinion of Rav Chisda. It's not necessarily that they hold like Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda would hold like them, because maybe the argument is Marsav nit l'likrspem or Marsav nit l'likrspem. The machlekes is about if you're allowed to read from them at all. If you're allowed to read from them, then you're allowed to save them. Rabbi Yossi holds you're not allowed to read from them, you're not allowed to save them. Rav Chisda's opinion was unique. He says even though you're not allowed to read from them, you're still allowed to save them. That we have no source for. The Gemara says, El Rabbi Yossi v'tana d'Egyptus. We do have a source. It's the reason why Rav Huna himself originally said that there's two opinions here, because we quoted a brisa that says if it was written in Coptic, even though you're not allowed to read from them, you're allowed to save them on Shabbos. So that means that Rav Chisda has a source. You're not allowed to read from them, and you're allowed to save them. Okay, Tanu Rabbanon, starting the brisa. Like this time, you're a little bit ahead of us. It's fine. Okay. So Sabrachas Vakameis. Rashi tells us something interesting. Okay, let's see what this means. Brachas. Brachas, Rashi says, is a chart that says Shemona Esrei on it. Wow, big chiddush. They would say it by heart. We had all those gemaras over there. The people, they didn't know what bracha to say. They said a different bracha. They forgot it, all of this. Apparently, at a certain point in time, even in the times of the brises, there was a chart that had the brachas in it, the Shemona Esrei written down. Kameyin, are these amulets. Now, even though they have Isis Shel Shem, they have letters of Hashem's name, and the Minyanes Harbe, they have many different concepts, which are, Rashi says, like for example, the pasuk Kol Machlash or something Mitzrayim Le'asam Malacha, or maybe it says like Sira Mipachad Laila. Rashi says it has these nice verses there that are protection type verses. These you're not allowed to save from a fire. They get burnt. The Shafim Kaiman Hein V'Askar saying them in there, and they are names of God that are in them. Mikan Amru, from here they say, Kaisvi brachas kasarfei Torah. People that write these blessings are like people that burn the Torah. Why? Because if a fire breaks out on Shabbos, Hashem should protect us. They don't get saved. So they could be a cause for passages of the Torah to be burnt. It's a story that someone was writing these amulets or something in a place called Sidon. And Bo Vaidias Rabbi Shmuel, they told Rabbi Shmuel what's going on. Halach Rabbi Shmuel Abatka, Rabbi Shmuel went to check it out. Kshayoyla Besulam is going up the ladder. Hirgishbay. So the fellow felt someone's coming to examine. Natal Tumas Shel Brachas. He took a whole collection of these brachas that he was making. B'shakon b'sefel shamayim, and he submerged them in water to dissolve the ink. That Rabbi Shmuel shouldn't see what he's writing. So Blashan Azeh Amar Eloi Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel tells him, it's worse what you just did now at the end than what you were doing before. Before, when he was writing it, if a fire would break out, then it would end up getting burnt on Shabbos. Okay, we don't know if a fire is going to break out. But now your mamish took it to be a dayim and you erased the names of Hashem and all of that. That's worse. The Reish Galusa asks Rabbi Barav Huna, if they're written in these other sort of inks, Kankantam I thought was acceptable. If they're written with these, I forget what they called, Sam they said Sama was arsenic or something. Sikra was some sort of red, and Kumas was some sort of gum. Kankantam, there was some chemical, I forgot what it was, carbon something. But it's written in Hebrew. So Matzil Nesim Ipnei Adleka Yein Matzilan. So it's written in Hebrew, but it's the wrong ink. Do you save them? We had a whole question before if it's written in other languages. What about if it's written in other inks? I'm asking the question according to the opinion that's of Rav Huna that says that you're not allowed to save, and according to Rav Chisda that says you are allowed to save if it's written in other languages. Written in other languages, either yes or no, I still have my question here if it's written in other inks. According to the opinion of Rav Huna that says you're not allowed to save if it's written in other languages, over there it's not written in Hebrew. Over here it's in Hebrew. Or maybe even according to the opinion that says you're allowed to save it if it's written in other languages. That's because it's written permanent. It's written in ink, in regular ink. But over here, it's not written in proper ink. It's not gonna last. There's a question why this has to do with lasting or not. Okay, whatever the case is, that's his question. Amalayin Matzilin. He responds to him. This was a question from Rabbi Barav Huna. Rabbi Barav Huna says you can't say it. But Rav Hamnuna Tana Matzilin, I guess the Rish Galusa was a Talmud Chacham. He says Rav Hamnuna says you're allowed to save it. Amalei Tanya. Well, if you have a brisa, he didn't just say Rav Hamnuna. He said Rav Hamnuna Tana. Rav Nuna taught a brisa that says you're allowed to save it. So Rabbi Bar Rav Huna says, well, if he has a brisa, then he has a brisa. I can't argue with that. My Tanya, but what is the brisa that says you're allowed to save it if it's written in other inks? Amar Rav Ashi Kedetanya, Rav Ashi says, jumps a few generations here. Rav Ashi says it's a brisa, ein bein svarim le-Megillah ela shasfarim nichtarvim b'chol lashon. A Megillah, ad sheik ksuva, ashuris al sefer b'diyai. The difference between Sfarim and the Megillah, what type of Sfarim is this referring to? He says that Sfarim need to be a Megillah needs to be written in Ashuris, which is our Hebrew script, and it needs to be written in ink. But other works could be written, other things could be written in other inks, Sikra, or in other types of other types of ink, not the regular DI. If that's the case, then we have a brisa that supports that you're allowed to write it in other inks. That would be a brisa that would hold that you're allowed to save these other inks on Shabbos. It's just the Megillah itself that needs to be written in these specifically b'diyai. Rav Huna bar Chalov me Rav Nachman. That's his name, Rashi says. Rav Huna bar Chalov asked Rav Nachman, Sefer Torah shem belaket shmeinim v'chamish eisius. In Parshas Vayibin Sayaran, Matil nesim k'nei adlekein matilin. So, Moshe, remember you had once a piece of a scroll that was hanging in the opposite direction. Remember that? Someone made it into some sort of decoration. So here the Gemara discusses that if a scroll has 85 letters, the size of Vayhi ben Sayaran, then it's already, you save it. But let's say a Sefer Torah doesn't have 85 letters. It's missing.
I wondered how can you use the word Sefer Torah? It only has 85 letters. You call it, that's the whole Sefer. There's no Bereshis, no Dvarim, just Vayibin Sar.
Right. I guess it's so badly damaged that when you look through it, you only find that there's 85 letters in the whole thing that are...
What about the opinion that Vayibin Sar is its own Sefer in the Torah?
Yeah, so that's going to come up here. That's actually this Gemara. The source of that is this Gemara.
Oh,
that's how that's coming out. That's where'd we get this from? Is this 85 letters thing? That's because of that opinion that Vayibin Saya is a sefer. So if you have a Sefer Torah that doesn't have the 85 letters, which is the amount of letters of the two verses of Vayibin Sayar and Vayim Maisha Kumashem, those verses. So, do you save it on Shabbos? That's a question that is asking Rav Nachman. Oh, I'm sorry, Gufei. You should ask about the section of Vayibin Say itself. Why are you asking about a Sefer Torah that doesn't have 85 letters? Just ask if the section of Vayibin Sayar in itself is written, and it's missing one letter. Missed the Vav of Vayehi or something, or the Yud. The Gemara, so he responds, he says, Hey, no, I don't have any question about that, because that has Hashem's name in it. Kuma Hashem has Hashem's name in it. I'm not asking about that. I'm talking about where there's a section, or not section, there's a Sefer Torah that doesn't have names of Hashem in it. because there's 85 letters that are random letters that don't include the name of Hashem. And if it has a name of Hashem, then even if it doesn't have 85 letters, then you're going to save it. I'm asking about a Sefer Torah that doesn't have the name of Hashem or 85 letters. He says you don't have to save it. It doesn't have the 85 letters. It's not a Torah. Eisvei, there's a question. Targum shekosvu mikra. If someone wrote the words of the Torah that are written in Targum, we're going to see that that's referring to the words Yigarsa Adusa. When Yaakov and Lavan, they make a mound as a treaty, it says Gal Eid. It's a mound of testimony. And Lavan calls it Yigarsa Adusa. Yigarsa Adusa. Yigarsa Adusa means a mound of testimony. Sahade is witnesses. It's a mound of testimony. So if someone wrote that in Hebrew, instead of writing what the Torah says, Yigarsa Adusa, he wrote it in Hebrew. Or if someone wrote Hebrew words, he wrote them in Aramaic. V'kasav Ivris, or he wrote it in, here Rashi says are large letters that are not the Assyrian letters that we use, Ashuris. There are some other letters, but they're written in Hebrew. So he says, Isius Meshunes, strange letters. Matzilan Mifnei Adleika. You save them from a fire. And of course, if someone writes the actual Targum that's written in the Torah, or the Targum of Ezra, or the Targum of Daniel, those are books that are written in Aramaic itself. If you write that in its original form, in its original Aramaic, of course you save that. The Gemara says, Targum Shabbat Mainu. What words did he write? That he wrote the Targum of the Torah that we said that you save it. It's Yigarsa Adusa. He wrote those two words. Those two words don't have 85 letters. See, you save it. Why did Reb Nachman tell Rav Huna Bar Chaluf that you don't save it if it doesn't have 85 letters? We have a brisa that says if you write the Targum of the Torah, you save it. The Gemara says, Kitan Yehi Lahashlim. No, that's not talking about where you only wrote those words, those letters. Here you're talking about that there were 85 letters in there. Part of those letters are Yigarsa Adusa. That's what completed the number 85. No, there is no source at less than 85 you save. That's the Gemara's answer. Ibaylu. When it says 85 letters, do they need to be consecutive? Or you get a Beis and Bereshis and a Shin from Shemais. You know, it's all spread out because there's so much damage to the Torah, to the scrolls. Or does it need to be in one place, 85 letters? Rav Huna Amar Mechunases. Rav Huna says they need to be in one place. Rav Chizda Amar Filam Mefuzaris. Rav Chizda says even if it's spread out. Second machlekes today, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. I don't know if there's any connection. Meisvei Sefer Torah Shabbalam Yishvel Lalakit Shmeinu V'Chamishesis Kim Parshav Ibn Tzayim Matzilin V'Lavein Matzilin. It says Lalakit. There's a Sefer Torah that you can collect from it 85 letters, the size of Vahib and Sayara, and you save it. If not, you don't save it. Rav Chizda's right. If you can collect it, then you have to save it. Why did Rav Huna say that it needs to be in one place? It's Yifta de Rav Huna. It's a Kashan Rav Huna. So look at this. Tirguma Rav Chizda Liba de Rav Huna. Rav Chizda translates, according to Rav Huna, B'teves, says that when it says Lalakit, it doesn't mean that you're collecting letters. Lalakit means that you have entire words that, although they're not consecutive, but those words actually have meaning. those letters are full words, and those words have meaning. Now, if you can get 85 letters with words, with complete words, then the Bryce is referring to that you save it. But let's say you have letters that aren't even part of whole words. The words themselves are lost. You just have individual letters there. So that no one says that you save. That's Rav Chisda's explanation for Rav Huna's opinion to help him out from this brisa that's a kasha on him. Okay, let's leave it over here. This is the end of the daf.